Hi, everybody. Welcome to BS of the Week. I'm Patrick Driggett, coach of the Berlin Fire, and I'm joined by my friend
Hi there, I'm Kevin Lucy from the Glasgow Rushmores.
and my
So
upcoming opponent.
yeah,
We're
don't
very
don't
excited.
beat don't beat me up too much.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like if I say that I'm worried that people will just make fun of me again in the comments. So
yeah.
I'm not even
Well,
gonna. I'll be very confident, I
that's it.
guess.
That's the way to do
That's
it.
yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, let's dig right into it. We had some awesome games this week. LFC results. First, we had my game. The Sun Devils visited us at the Berlin Fire. We won that game 33-6. Um, then we had the Rushmores at the Patriots. The Patriots won that pretty handily, 33-13. Sorry, Kev. I know you're trying your
Yes.
best, but
Sign of my season, sir.
yeah. Well, commiserations, I guess.
Thank you.
Then we had a shocker. We had the 66ers at the Giant Hornets. The 66ers have been surprising everyone, and this game was no exception. So they didn't get the win. I think that's important to say, but I think it's also important to say they only lost 22-17. In the first quarter, they held the Giant Hornets to nil. But they just couldn't keep up in the points department. They did bring it close with 57 at the 57-minute 50-second mark. They brought it to 17-22. They were really trying to give it a fighting chance, but unfortunately, that's all the Giant Hornets needed to run out the clock and put that one away. But I think it's worth mentioning that's a great effort from the 66ers, and I think nothing to they got to be proud on that one, and I'm sure they feel hopeful for the next season. If they can keep the Giant Hornets that close, they're doing the right thing over on that team.
Most
So
definitely.
yeah. Next game we had the Massive visiting the Sharks. Sharks won that 38-9. Another matchup that I think was really interesting. We had the Buccaneers at the Irish, and I think most people probably picked the Buccaneers as the favorite there. But Ray is a great coach, and he's been doing a lot this season. I think they just had the Buccaneers number. Brutal 6 turnovers by the Buccaneers, and that was enough for the Irish to capitalize and take the win. And they won at home 19-15. So congrats to Ray, the Irish. In my division, we had the Statesmen at the Phoenix. This was obviously anticipated. Ian has proven to be a contender, and despite the season's record, I think we all know that the Phoenix is a strong team. And he showed that. He led 10-3 in halftime. I mean, he really looked in control. He looked dominant. But Lee was able to spur a squad into action, and they scored 21 points in the second half. He kind of turned it on, and they held this Phoenix to a single touchdown in the second half, and they won 24-17 in a close game. And now they kind of firmly hold that 1 or 2 seed in the LFC, I think. So it's looking really good for Lee. I don't think he has a lot of challenges left this season, I think. So, well, when does he play? Does he play the Giant Hornets? I might be talking
He
smack.
does indeed.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe he doesn't hold as firmly as I thought, but I'll just pretend that I was right. And then Rhinos visited the Knights, and they won 17-7 on an away game, so I'm sure they're happy about that. And then finally we had the Shadows visiting the Weasels. The Weasels won 34-10 at home. How's the
Yeah.
PFC looking?
Yeah, well, just before we move on, it's interesting just how many home games now are producing results for the home team. It's
Yeah.
becoming harder and harder, I think, to travel away and get a result, because I think, I'm correct in saying I might be wrong, but I think there's only one game in the whole of the LFC that was an away win. I think every other game was a home win, which is proving to be quite difficult, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so over in the PFC, as we know, it's interdivisional week this week. So I'm just going to do the results as in the divisions, as it were. So PFC West, we had the Huskies playing at the Titans. And seeing as Don hasn't, in his first season yet, he hasn't managed to put together a win. I think we all expected the Titans to run away with this one. So I was quite surprised when when Don kept it down to 13-20, which I thought was a very good result there for Don, especially when he was actually in the lead at one stage. And it was only 10 unanswered points right in the third quarter that sealed the game for James. I think, to be quite honest, though, it's probably a little bit too late, a little bit too little, too late. Whether he's still got a playoff chance or not, I'm not really sure. But if you keep your chin up, Don, your first win will come. We're certainly seeing improving signs there.
Mhm.
The other game in the PFC West was the Stormers against the Bay Packers. Stormers 20, Bay Packers 38. Tom, again, here we had running back Lamar, 157 yards on the deck. And that was basically the game. He saw the Packers home quite comfortably. And with their divisional record, that now means that the Packers are actually confirmed as the PFC West champions. They can't be caught. And we'll move on later on as to whether that actually changes plans or not, game plans or not. Moving on to PFC North, we had the Bombers against the Maroons. Again, as we probably expect here, the Bombers 7, the Maroons 49. Pretty predictable, I guess. The two Bocks, what was it? Rambock and Sturmbock ran for over 100 yards each. And that really was the difference between the two teams. That basically takes the Maroons up to 5-2. And it actually prevents the Rivets from taking the championship as of yet. It's still mathematically possible for the Rivets not to win the championship. Bringing on to the next game, the Surfers 26, the Rivets 44. Again, the score probably flatters Gary a little bit here because, in fairness, it was 34-3 at one stage, the Rivets, then 41-10 before a further number of points made it respectable right towards the end. Rivets games seem to be getting a bit closer. I don't know whether that's just wishful thinking on everyone's behalf. But as I say, the Rivets still look very much bowl bound, as it were. In the PFC South, we had the Devils 13, the Warriors 20. Again, could be Zane, I think, is putting together here, and he's forging a team that I think is going to have to be reckoned with in the next season or two. There's some good signs from that side there. He's starting to run a few people close there. And unfortunately, Zane possessed. He had more possession than Ambrose. He had more yardage than Ambrose. Unfortunately for Ambrose, he had fewer points. So that really was was the difference. Because
I've heard that's generally the one stat that affects teams the most.
It's usually quite important, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had probably one of our games of the week. I've chosen two games of the week this week. The first one is the Bulldogs against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Basically, we've been saying all season long that Miranda is building a strong team that's going to be a big challenge next year and the year after. And this really was proof in the pudding, as it were. This really was a cracking game. The Bulldogs were 21-14 up, and then it went to 28-28. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 35-35. Until quite literally, and I do mean quite literally, the very, very, very last kick of the ball was a field goal from 11-yard line. And that made the final score 35-38 to the Eagles. Wow, what a game. And I think Andy's going to have his work cut out next season, keeping Miranda in that second spot there. Fantastic.
I mean, between Ambrose and Zane Bowes and Miranda, I mean, that's a great division. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's going to be an exciting division to watch next season. And interesting fact, the Bulldogs are in second place at 3-4, and they have a positive 45 point differential with a losing record, a 3-4 record. That's pretty cool.
They've lost games by 3. They've lost games by 6. Yeah. They haven't. When they've lost by a very small margin.
Right.
And they've won some pretty good games as well. So I'm not surprised the points difference is like that.
There's 2 other teams, by the way. that have a similar thing. The Rushmores are one of them. You're 3 and 4, and
Yeah.
you have a positive point differential of 24. And then
Yeah.
the other one is the Phoenix. They have a
Yeah.
+6. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Just shows how unlucky we've been, Patrick.
yep, I agree. Maybe you and Ray should change, and you could be the Irish, and then you'll get
Right.
that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that did beat us anyway. Okay, PFC East. This one really is the closest division of all the divisions. What happened here was we saw Peter's Rough Riders edge out Chris's Chargers to move into a 4-3 position. And really here, turnovers was the reason for the Rough Riders. I think they came out 17-10 winners. But we all know what Chris is doing here. He's learnt from an absolute master, namely myself, and he's going after the first win bonus so that he can get some extra training in. And he's planning on doing his first win next week. So I predicted it here, Chris to win the first win bonus. There we go.
All right.
So the other
bold. I love it.
Oh yes, bold prediction. Yeah, the other game in that division was again the other game of the week, which was the Generals 24 against the Rapiers 31. Now, this game, basically, Alex absolutely stormed off to a 17-zip lead. And at that stage, when you're reading through it, you think, okay, that's it, game over. But then basically Phil pegs it back to 17-14 before again Alex puts his foot on the gas, goes to 24-17. And then going into the fourth quarter, then we had 10 unanswered points for the victory. And that really was it. It was a tough one for Alex to stomach, really. After going into a 17-zip lead, you've got to think your team's going to hold on to it. But again, Phil won the turnover battle 5-1. And I think, to be quite honest, that was the major difference on the whole game. And the interesting thing now is that league shows 2 teams on 5-5, and another team 1 point behind them. 1 game behind them. So that is
you mean 5-2. They're 5-2.
Sorry, 5-2. Sorry.
Yeah,
yes,
that's okay.
Yeah, they're both on 5. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 teams on 5-2 and 1 on 4-3. So
that's a competitive division for
one
sure.
heck of a So that's basically what happened in the PFC, and we had a couple of games of the week this week. But what about the coach of the week? Who we
well, you identified one of them actually, which I think is Phil Holton. In his victory over the Generals, like you said, 5-1 turnovers. Obviously we saw earlier, in the season, they lost to the Generals and they lost badly. Like it was not close. And the fact that he held on and got the win there and is really keeping this division close, we knew the Rapiers were a good team, but they were having a tough season early on. And I think he's really to see them at 5-2 with the Generals right now. That's awesome to see. And I think he definitely deserves Coach of the Week honors. And then I think also I'd like to give that to Ray Marsh for his victory over the Buccaneers against a strong opponent at home, with his Irish. So great job to Coach Marsh. And those are our 2 coaches of the week.
Good stuff.
Congrats to them. Yeah. So week 8 is coming up. Playoffs are close. What can you tell us about that, Kev?
Oh my gosh, we've got some amount of games coming up. Basically, what I'm going to say is anybody who is, this is week 8, as you said, anybody who's got a chance of the playoffs cannot really afford to lose at this stage. So really the games to watch this week are any games whatsoever that have got playoff hopefuls in them, because any slip up could alter the situation quite dramatically. We've got the Beverly Bay Packers, we've got the Newcastle Eagles, and we've got the Swarming Giant Hornets, who to my knowledge have all clinched their divisions. So what we're looking at is obviously we expect the Rivets to clinch their division, and then we're looking at playoff places. So the games I'm going to point you to are a fascinating, what would normally be a fascinating battle between the Giant Hornets, who are away at the Statesmen.
Mm.
Um, that is going to be very, very interesting because with the Swarming Giant Hornets already having clinched their division, and Lee not having clinched his division, what is Colin going to do? Is he going to rest all the players? Because he has an injury list that looks like some sort of shopping list. It's unbelievable. And if he's got the opportunity, having already clinched the division, to maybe rest a few players, but Lee's probably hoping that happens, and you're probably hoping it doesn't happen because Lee really needs the victory here. So that's one definitely to watch. Another one that's fascinating in the playoff situation is the Maroons at the Rough Riders, because here, if the Maroons, they're 5-2, I think, and if the Rough Riders win, what it could mean is that you've then got 3 or 4 or even 5 teams in the PFC, all with a record of 5-3.
Wow.
And that going into the last 2 weeks is going to be absolutely fascinating. So really it's a case of, and obviously, you need to win. Everybody that's in a playoff situation, the 66ers need to win. I need to win. You name it. The Generals need to win. The Stormers need to win. There's lots and lots of teams still vying for playoff places, and the Rhinos as well, the Sharks, the Weasels, you name it. Every game, I think, this week is going to be fascinating because there's just so much still to play for.
It's interesting. I'm realizing it right now. I know, we've been doing the show for a couple seasons now, or maybe even more. I think this is our 3rd season, right? That we've done.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Seeing where we are right now at week 8 and all the things going on, and the Rivets are strong, but they've been starting to show things getting close. The Giant Hornets are super strong. The Statesmen are strong. Like, this is the most competitive going into week 8. Like, I think last year or even the year before that, things were getting clinched up really early, and I'm excited because I feel like the league is really, like, people are stepping up and there's a lot of great games going on. And I think there's general excitement about it. And I think people who are sleeping on the Big Sky, which has historically, I think, been considered one of the weaker divisions or leagues in all of Gridiron, I just don't think we're there anymore. I think we're highly competitive. I think we have great teams and great coaches.
I think that the thing is we've got some great teams and great coaches, but we've also got a lot of teams coming up that look as if they're going to be strong. Right. We've got a very good bunch of coaches at the moment who are keen, enthusiastic, and seem to be learning all the time. So whilst we've got the people at the top at the moment, there's a whole host underneath who are bubbling away and building strong teams. So it continues to be interesting. What was it on any given Sunday?
Yeah.
Did they make a film about
it? Any given Friday for us, I think. Yeah.
Every given Friday, yeah. But that's what's happening. And it's really great to see. Really is.
I agree. Well, thank you for your what to watch there. Seems like there's going to be a lot of things, so I'll be excited to kind of pull up everything on Friday when the games resolve. Everybody out there, get your green check marks. Let's get into this. Let's make those games go by fast so we can all see the results. And hope everyone has an awesome week. So you as well, Kev.
Yeah, take care, mate. Goodbye to everyone. Bye.